Hey, welcome back to the Whiskey Creek, and for this video we're going to be doing a layout tour. So sit back and let's see what this layout is all about. So my layout is nscale. It operates DCC, both in wired or wireless operation, which I will show you in a short bit. It measures in the long length here that you can see 18 feet and then another 8 feet on the short side. And it's pretty well based on t-trak. So if you're not familiar with t-trak, you can see, I'll add a link in the description about t-trak and how they sort of go together. So it's based on the t-trak standards, and then I have balloon loops on both ends. It is modular based, so I can add and remove sections or move them around, but with the balloon loops then it also gives me the opportunity to have continuous running. So my layout is in the basement, and I do have to share the area. I've negotiated this much space and I have to share it with a couple bunnies. So this area here is sort of a museum that I set up. So this way I can have a older style station as well as some of my older rolling stock. Because I model in modern era, then some of the older stuff I still wanted to be able to have and collect. So I have a home for it right now. This siding is the Beaver Lumber. This is my lumber yard, so I have a siding where lumber shipments can come and go. The Beaver Lumber used to be a Canadian home improvement chain. I believe since quite a few years ago it actually was now all the home hardwares. So kind of like a Home Depot or Lowe's, but on a little bit of a smaller scale. And you can't model modern era without having some containers. So I do have an intermodal yard, just a small one with a couple tracks for the well cars to come and go and pick up a few containers, and then they can disappear by truck. This is just a small little grain siding. So this way I have somewhere for my grain cars. If you follow Go Via or Go Home, then he did a video all about various types of grain cars, and it kind of got me hooked on having various ones. So I have these ones so far, and I have some plans to get some more because I kind of got addicted to grain operations and grain cars thanks to him and his video. And this single track siding is where I have a small little sort of microbrewery. I've called it the Iron Horse Brewery, and it has a 2 bay doors that it can receive some shipments by boxcar and send stuff out. This middle section is the yard area for my layout. So as you see it on the right hand side is the Go Transit Maintenance Facility, and on the left hand side is the Canadian Pacific, where I have all my yard tracks. I kind of base this area on the Lakeshore West part of the Go Transit line in Ontario, Canada, where on one side they have the Go Transit yard, and on the other side they have the Via Rail yard, and the main lines run right through the middle. So with my layout being based on t-trak, then I have the 2 main lines running down the middle of this area, and then I have all my yard operations here. This module is my fuel operations. So we have some storage tanks and facility here. The name of it is based on Dynaco, which if you're familiar with the Cars, Disney Pixar Cars, then Dynaco should sound kind of familiar to those fans. This module was one of the first modules I worked on, and this is my station. On the left hand side you'll see a caboose. That's an ice cream stand, and that's based on a ice cream stand that's out of a caboose in Cambridge, Ontario. And then I have several backdrop buildings that some of them have some significance, some of them are just sort of filler that I found online. So I have like a blues bar because I have an interest in blues, and a barbecue joint, and of course what Canadian layout doesn't have a Tim Hortons. And on the right hand side then I also have a small war memorial. With my background in the Canadian Army, then needed to have some type of memorial here. This corner module will be eventually a town, small little town with only a few buildings and probably some backdrop ones. I don't really have a plan for it yet. I have a couple of buildings that I've made, one of them being a DQ, and another one I built is a small armories, and then I have a few other buildings that I still have to work on. So I really haven't made a downtown sort of city area plan yet. Probably start working on that once I actually build a few more buildings to populate the area. This module is my river and bridge scene. So the picture you see in the background is actually the Grand River as it runs through Brantford, Ontario. The picture I printed off based on a panoramic photo that I took, and it's just printed on normal paper from a laserjet printer. Eventually what I plan to do is have it professionally done and then stick it onto the backdrop there, and possibly redo that backdrop because I just did it on foam core and it started warping after I painted it. So the scene's still a work in progress, but I just wanted to get a picture up just to sort of see how the backdrop's going to integrate into the scene and work with the size of the bridge. And then eventually there will be water and a little bit more of a river scene going there. This final module is the other end of the balloon loop, and this is where a small coal mine operation is going to be. You can also see where I've marked out the creek that's going to go through there, and this is actually where the infamous Whiskey Creek will actually be residing. So the previous river that I showed you, haven't quite named that yet. May just stay with Grand River, and then this one is actually going to be the Whiskey Creek itself. So there's a small campground over top of the tunnel on the left hand side, and then how I'm going to deal with all the pink foam everywhere, not quite sure yet. Don't have necessarily a huge plan. It's probably going to happen after I figure out how and where the creek's going to go in and finish that area off. So to operate the layout is all wired for DCC, and I'm using the MRC Prodigy Express system. I also have their Wi-Fi module, which allows me to run wireless operations using the Wii throttle on a very old iPhone 5, I think this is. Since the battery's not great on it, I still keep my wired Prodigy throttle around just in case, so I can still run things when I forget to keep the iPhone charged. So that's my layout as it stands right now. Like I said, it's a t-trak based system, so I can break certain sections apart and add and remove as I see fit. Not really negotiating for any extra space at this time, but one day, maybe, possibly, I'll try. But thanks for checking out the layout. Have a great day.